This is the big moment. CNBC called the SpaceX IPO the big market event of 2026, and they called it that for a reason. Elon Musk is about to make history yet again. On June 12th, he's going to take SpaceX public, and you can be a part of it. Right here, right now, Jeff Brown is with me, and he says that Elon is about to unlock the single most explosive opportunity of this decade with this upcoming IPO. And if you want to know what to do, you could walk away with a huge six-figure payout. Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Hurt, obviously with the legendary Jeff Brown. Jeff, it's great to be here with you at SpaceX. How are you doing?
Chris, I am doing fantastic. And of course, I want to thank everyone for joining us for this very special event because we are witnessing history in the making right here. We are right outside SpaceX's headquarters in Starbase, Texas. I mean, you can see the Boca Chica launch site just over my shoulder, two massive launch pads. I mean, Chris, for me, this is a bit surreal for me to be here today. I mean, I think back to the initial space race. It inspired a generation of kids to become engineers and scientists. And as you know, Chris, I was one of them.
You were.
As regular readers know, I earned a degree in aeronautical and astronautical engineering from Purdue University because I dreamed of going to space. I still do. And here we are today, just moments away from SpaceX's IPO, which will be 1,000 times bigger than Tesla's IPO. It is the most anticipated IPO in history, and I believe it will unlock an incredible investment opportunity for everyday folks. Now, I'm not just talking about the kind of money that changes your bank account. I am talking about the kind of money that changes your entire future.
Right. And you can literally feel the excitement in the air here. There's a definite buzz. I think everybody obviously knows this is set to be the biggest IPO in history. The New York Times even calls it, a generational money-making event.
Correct.
The Financial Times says that investors are set for a windfall.
They are.
So bottom line, there's no question that this is going to make a lot of people rich. But here's the thing. From what I understand, Jeff, you're actually not here today to recommend shares of SpaceX. Instead, you're going to recommend something that you are calling SpaceX Shadow IPO.
That's right, Chris. It is a little-known investment that has the potential to make 10 times, 30 times, and even 50 times more money than SpaceX, starting as soon as the company goes public.
Right. Now, are you talking about options?
No, nothing like that. And I promise I'll explain everything today because most people don't know about this secret. But I believe this will be the best way to cash in on this SpaceX IPO. Now, Chris, there is a reason why it's the hottest IPO ever. Hundreds of millions of investors around the world are literally sitting on the edge of their seats right now, salivating and just waiting for the moment SpaceX finally begins trading. The second those shares hit the market, they'll be ready to pounce. And I have to say, I can't blame them. As I've been telling my readers, SpaceX has already revolutionized space exploration with its reusable rockets. It revolutionized the internet with Starlink, and now it's set to revolutionize the entire artificial intelligence industry with its AI data center satellites.
Right. And I just want to make it clear, you get credit here. You're one of the first analysts who really understood that SpaceX was not just a rocket story. It wasn't just an internet satellite story. This is an AI story. You even called it Elon Musk's AI master plan. You told your readers that the plan is for SpaceX to run AI from space using satellites that are powered by the sun.
Yes, that is Elon's master plan, and it's why I believe SpaceX will become the single most important AI company in the world. But there is a big problem with SpaceX, Chris, and that's why I had to be here today.
Oh boy, okay, a problem. So what do you mean by that? What's the issue here?
Well, when SpaceX was just a startup back in 2002, you probably won't believe this, it was worth just $27 million. And when it goes public, it will be a giant company worth around $2 trillion. And that means the early investors who got into that private deal will have a chance to pocket a gain of more than 6 million% on the day of the IPO.
6 million%. That's probably, it's got to be the biggest gain I've ever heard in my life.
It is really insane. I mean, it's enough to turn a single $100 bill into more than $6 million. But my point is, when the company finally begins to trade in the stock market, it will already be a massive multi-trillion-dollar company. In fact, it will be bigger than giants like Walmart, ExxonMobil, and Meta. Now, I've recommended readers of the Near Future Report to get a stake before the IPO because I expect a lot of hype in the first few days of trading. Shares could even double or triple in a matter of days, but the reality is, with shares of SpaceX, you won't be able to turn $100 into millions like the early private investors did. And that's where SpaceX's shadow IPO comes in. It's an early stage investment that's directly tied to the growth of SpaceX, but that's still trading for pocket change. So there is much more upside potential.
What kind of potential are you talking about here? Just be blunt.
I've looked at some of the biggest tech IPOs in history, and I found an incredible pattern. It turns out in every single case that I checked, these shadow IPOs return 10 times, 20 times, and even 50 times more money than the IPO itself. For example, when the cybersecurity company Palo Alto Networks went public, you could have made 12 times more money with its shadow IPO and walked away with more than $212,000 in profit. When Google went public, another great example, you could have made 16 times more money with its shadow IPO and walked away a certified millionaire. And when Facebook went public, you could have made 30 times more money with its shadow IPO and walked away with more than $980,000.
Wow. So I understand. Those are some probably the most successful examples out there that you can come up with. But this, just to be clear, this you're talking about the kind of money that could set up people for retirement easily.
Exactly. Now, Chris, can I guarantee that my shadow IPO recommendations will make you a millionaire? No, of course not. But as you can see, Chris, the potential here is undeniable. And this even happened with Tesla itself. While shareholders had a chance to make $7,400, those who invested in its shadow IPO had a chance to make 50 times more money and pocketed $420,000 during the same period.
It's really incredible. I don't know how that's possible, but I am definitely intrigued by all this, and I can't wait to hear all the details.
And Chris, the beauty here is that this is something that anyone can buy today straight from any regular brokerage account.
Right. So you say we don't have to wait for the IPO?
No, definitely. In fact, please do not wait for the IPO. You have to move quickly. That's the key here. You must get in now before the IPO. I mean, you see, as we speak, SpaceX's team is on a roadshow right now. Now, what does that mean? What's a roadshow? Well, that's when executives of the company that's going public, they travel around Wall Street pitching the IPO to investment banks and institutional investors.
Right. So they're actually promoting the IPO before the big day comes.
That's right. That's right. Exactly right. About 125 financial analysts from 21 different Wall Street banks are meeting with SpaceX. Now, Chris, as soon as those meetings are over, what do you think that those analysts will do? Do you think they'll stay silent?
No way.
No way, exactly. Their job is to publish financial research to their wealthy clients, and that's the sole reason why they're in that meeting. So as soon as the meeting is over, I predict those 100+ analysts will be publishing a ton of buy ratings for SpaceX, recommending it to their wealthy clients. And those buy recommendations will, of course, leak to the media. So imagine the front pages of the Wall Street Journal, the Bloomberg, Financial Times, all talking about SpaceX's IPO. Just imagine every single TV screen on CNBC, Fox Business, and Bloomberg will be lit up talking about nothing else. Countless investors won't be able to contain their excitement and will be talking about it on social media as well, everywhere. The buzz won't just be loud, it will be deafening.
I think that, to say the very least, I mean, there's already so much hype around this IPO already.
Yes, and I believe this roadshow will bring the hype to an absolute fever pitch. I mean, by the time the IPO happens, people will be foaming at the mouth like rabid dogs. I'm not kidding. Willing to buy shares at any price. And as I'll explain here today, I believe all of that hype will help push SpaceX's shadow IPOs to the stratosphere. And that's why I'm urging everyone to get in now. So today, I'm going to give all the details and make this official recommendation. And I'll also give away the name and ticker symbol of an AI company that is set to benefit from this IPO completely free of charge.
All right, it sounds absolutely amazing. You set it up for us very well, folks. We are just getting started here. Stick around for a few more minutes and you are going to walk away, as Jeff just said, with the name and ticker symbol of this shadow IPO play. And of course, we're also going to have a Q&A a little bit later on with Jeff, just to make sure that we're covering as many different details as possible. And we're going to jump right into it because, like Jeff just said, there is no time to waste here. A lot of madness to come. We're going to make sense of this IPO. It's only going to happen one time. Think about that. IPOs only happen once, so it's a truly once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But right now, you've probably seen or at least heard the traffic. We got a lot of noise. We got a lot of wind. Why don't you say we step inside away from all this noise and you give us the full story with zero distractions?
As much as I love it out here, I think we are going to have to go inside and make that happen. Let's go.
Don't go away. Well, here we are inside now where it's a little bit quieter. There's a lot of excitement here at Starbase. We actually it's just a few miles away. We can see the launch pad if we step outside here, but we're going to continue the conversation here inside where it's a little easier to talk. And there was a lot of activity going on out there. It's almost nonstop.
It was incredible, incredibly exciting. I mean, as good as it is to come in and cool off and get cleaned up, I have to say I'd rather go back out and watch it some more. It's incredible.
We'll try to make it worth your while here. This is going to be exciting. And I'm glad, sincerely, all fun aside here, I'm very glad to have you with us because we could not have anyone more qualified to guide us through this SpaceX IPO. And a lot of excitement going on outside, but there's a lot of excitement to be had here on Earth, financially speaking. You mentioned earlier, you've always wanted to be an astronaut, and it's very obvious. I mean, you are passionate about this. You were excited to be here today, and with good reason. But I just want to point out to everyone, you did go to Purdue, famously known as the cradle of astronauts. It has produced more NASA astronauts than any other university in the world. So I know how passionate you are about the aerospace industry. I was fascinated to learn, I did not know until today, you actually started your career with Boeing. Is that right?
That's right. After I graduated from Purdue, I actually moved to Seattle where I worked as a contractor on the Boeing 777 program in its earliest days. And of course, as you know, I've been researching and investing in the aerospace industry ever since.
Which is probably why you've been able to correctly predict SpaceX's success. In the early days of the company, I know SpaceX has been around for a long time, mainstream media were calling Musk's plans for SpaceX a pipe dream.
Ridiculous.
Exactly. I think one article even, there's a quote that the history of satellite internet is defined by failure.
That quote was true.
Well, but you had a different view. The point is that you told your readers that SpaceX was going to be a disruptive force and one of the most exciting growth stories in technology.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember those articles. And, you know, while the media was completely mocking Elon, as it typically does, in 2019, I actually predicted he would get his Starlink satellite network up and running and would soon begin to sell its service.
And a year later, that prediction became true. Starlink has been a great success.
Yeah, that's an understatement, Chris. I mean, Starlink has literally redefined broadband internet from space, and Starlink is now the largest satellite constellation in history. It is literally, I refer to it as a World Wide Web, a space-based internet infrastructure. So this will surprise you. Starlink now has more than 10 million subscribers and generated $8 billion in sales in 2024 and about $16 billion in 2025. So everyone who doubted Elon has been proven completely wrong.
Right. Absolutely right. Yeah, just to underline it, they were wrong. You were right. Now, you also started talking about a potential IPO for SpaceX, I mean, years ago, as early as 2020. So you were way ahead of that, the curve on that one too, because here we are today, just like you predicted, SpaceX is finally ready to go public. It's happening right now. Tell me this, how can folks then, let's just continue the conversation, how do we cash in on this historic event with what you're calling shadow IPO?
Well, Chris, before I give you the details on that, I do think it's important for everyone to understand why Elon Musk is taking SpaceX public in the first place, because this is what's setting up this incredible opportunity with this shadow IPO.
That's a very good point. Thank you for bringing it up. We did talk about this when you first revealed Elon's AI master plan. I remember you saying SpaceX it's already profitable, really doesn't need any more cash to continue operations.
That's exactly right. So the question is, why now? Why why bother with taking the company public? And it's actually pretty simple. Elon needs to raise billions of dollars to execute his AI master plan. And if you know how Elon is going to spend those billions, I believe you'll have a chance to walk away from this IPO with huge gains.
Right. Well, then let's talk about that. So how is he, if SpaceX doesn't really need the money,
well, Chris,
how is he going to use the money?
As you know, all the big tech companies are locked in this extraordinary AI race for AGI and ultimately artificial superintelligence. It's a race to develop the next generation of AI, and whoever wins that race will unlock trillions of dollars of wealth and become the master of the universe. I mean, it is the highest stake race in human history, which is, of course, why companies are spending hundreds of billions of dollars on AI infrastructure. So the question is, how do you win that race? Well, you win the race by having the most computational resources at the lowest cost. So as I'll explain here today, this SpaceX IPO is the key for Elon's plan to win that race.
All right. So just to be clear, you're saying Elon is taking SpaceX public to raise billions of dollars. He's then going to use that money to win the AI race.
Exactly. Now, he isn't just raising money. He's about to supercharge his master plan. I believe SpaceX will go public with at least a $2 trillion valuation. I mean, Elon could raise as much as $100 billion in its IPO. Now, just think about that for a second. The entire U.S. IPO market only raised more money than that in just 2 of the last 10 years. So I'm talking about the entire IPO market.
Wow. So he's not just going big, and he's going all out on this. I mean, he's going to have an absolute war chest.
That's right. That's the point. I mean, dry powder like nobody has ever seen before. And that is what's going to give him a big edge against the competition. So let's look at computing power, for example. So Elon already built Colossus, which is the world's most powerful AI supercomputer.
And we have talked about that before, Colossus. You went to Memphis, I think, to visit that site as part of your boots on the ground research, which you do so well. And we're actually showing some footage of that on screen right now. I remember you telling me that Elon was planning to increase Colossus's, that's a lot of S's, their computer power by, I think, 500%.
Yes. In fact, Elon Musk just bought another building to execute on that expansion plan. So when all is said and done, Colossus will have 33 times more computer power than ChatGPT, OpenAI's ChatGPT, and that's already huge, right? But with the SpaceX IPO, Elon Musk is going to take computer power to the next level. He's going to use some of the proceeds from the IPO to fund the construction of TerraFab, which is set to be the world's largest and most advanced semiconductor making operation. Now, Chris, this project is so massive that some people are literally saying that Elon has lost his mind. I mean, he's planning to produce up to 200 billion chips per year. Now, to put that into perspective, that's almost 10 times more than what Taiwan Semiconductor makes. And that's the largest chip manufacturing company in the world.
So Elon's factory, TerraFab is the name, it's going to be 10 times bigger.
Yes. And that's where Tesla will make its 5th generation AI chip, which is called AI5. And that's the chip that will power Elon's robotaxi network and his humanoid robots, Optimus. And it's set to be 40 times more powerful than anything Elon Musk is using right now. Now, Chris, not 40% more powerful, 4,000% more powerful. So in order to scale the robotaxi network and Optimus production, Elon will need a lot of semiconductors. And that's why he's going to manufacture the chips himself. And he wouldn't be able to secure all the chips he needs from third parties.
Now, I would imagine that if he's building the chips, if he's making those chips himself, that's probably going to cut costs as well, right?
Absolutely right. No margin. Instead of buying expensive semiconductors from NVIDIA per se, or having custom chips manufactured by Taiwan Semiconductor or Samsung Electronics, Elon will just make the chips at a much lower cost. Remember what I said earlier about how you win the AI race?
I think you said whoever gets the most compute power at the lowest cost is going to win the race. And that's starting to make sense to me.
Well, Chris, Terafab is going to be so enormous that it will be capable of producing enough semiconductors to support 1 terawatt of compute, which will require 20 times more electricity than all of the AI compute currently happening on the entire planet.
See, 20 times more than the whole world. How's that even possible?
Well, it's actually very difficult to generate that kind of power on Earth, at least within any reasonable time frame. And that's exactly why this SpaceX IPO changes everything. You see, in addition to funding the Terafab, which will initially cost $55 billion, Elon will also use some of the money from the IPO to build more Starship rockets and ramp up SpaceX's AI data center satellite production. And like we discussed before, he will power those AI data center satellites with free energy from the sun 24/7 by placing the satellites into a sun synchronous orbit. Chris, this is free energy, limitless, clean, free energy. And that's why Elon said the lowest cost place to put AI will be in space. And that is how he wins the AI race.
It's an amazing concept and what vision. Basically taking SpaceX public is that's his checkmate move. I mean, that's his final move to win this AI war once and for all.
Yeah. Exactly right. And that's creating an extremely urgent opportunity. Chris, I call this event Countdown to SpaceX IPO for a reason. The countdown has begun. The rocket, it's ready to take off. And I believe the shadow IPO plays that I'll discuss here today are going straight to the moon. And those who don't get in now will be left behind. And they'll never have another explosive opportunity like this ever again.
Yeah. Now, I know you want to give away a free pick today. And from what I understand, it is an AI stock that's set to benefit from the SpaceX IPO. Before we get to that, let's talk about, this is the main thing we want to get to, the shadow IPO, because you said that these things do have a history of making 10, 20, even 50 times more money than the IPO itself. But you said it has nothing to do with options. So what exactly is it?
Well, let me start by showing you an example, and I promise everything will make sense. Let's look at what happened with Netflix. So at the time of its IPO, the company was still mailing DVDs. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
But it used that money from the IPO to fund its transition to streaming services, which, as we now know, was a game changer for the company. So take a look at this, Chris. You could have invested $10,000 in shares of Netflix after the IPO, and you'd have made a profit of $82,700, which I have to say, it's phenomenal, right?
I would say, yes, that's great. You're pocketing, more than 8 times your money there.
Not bad at all, right? But Chris, while everyone was focused on Netflix, its shadow IPO did much, much better. So take a look. With the same initial investment, your profit would have ballooned to $765,000.
My goodness, that's ridiculous. $765,000. I can't see that number without thinking about how most people spend their entire lives working, saving money, trying to do the right thing, putting money in an IRA or a 401k, but they're never going to reach, most of them, many of them will never reach that kind of benchmark, that massive 6-figure nest egg. But you're showing us that just one of these investments could have done that. That's mind-blowing.
That's right. It really is. I mean, you'd be making almost 10 times more money than the IPO itself. So take a look. Which one sounds better, Chris? It's not a trick question. 80,000 or 760,000?
I like the easy math questions because that's what I need. No, that's a no-brainer. I mean, but again, how is that possible? We said earlier, this is not an options play.
Well, no, it is not an options trade. You see, when these companies go public, they often use the money from the IPO to fund their growth, just like SpaceX is planning to do. But here's the thing. In every major IPO, there's a hidden opportunity that most investors miss. So while everyone is focused on the big company that's going public, all the bright lights, right? A handful of much smaller companies quietly ride the growth wave in the giant's shadow. And that's why I call them shadow IPOs. And these are the companies that have the potential to deliver explosive returns.
So we're talking about smaller companies, but companies that will benefit from all the growth that's funded by the IPO. I'm just restating, I think, what you just said.
Right. These are much smaller, early stage businesses that supply technology, benefit from the same growth trend, or simply get swept up in the hype, the frenzy, and all the capital inflows created by the giant IPO. They don't steal the headlines, but they often deliver the biggest returns. So, for example, when Netflix went public and began its transformation into a streaming giant, it proved that consumers were willing to watch high-quality video on demand instead of traditional cable TV. Now, as we know, this accelerated the shift of advertising budgets from old-school TV to digital streaming, and that triggered a huge boom for a much smaller company called The Trade Desk. Now, it's a platform that manages ads on streaming services. So every time Netflix and other streamers increased ad inventory and spending, The Trade Desk got a slice of that growing pie.
Right. So this tiny company, Trade Desk, was Netflix's shadow IPO. It's interesting because I think you're right. Shadow companies, and I've never heard of that company. So I can see why you're calling it a shadow IPO. The company that rode the wave of Netflix's growth, but did it in the shadows away from the headlines.
Exactly. That's right. And had you invested in it, you could have walked away with that $765,000 nest egg, which again is almost 10 times better than investing in Netflix itself. So yes, the IPO unlocked incredible growth and wealth for Netflix, but the Trade Desk quietly rode that wave in the shadows for much, much bigger gains. And obviously it made its shareholders incredibly wealthy.
Yeah, I'm still blown away. I'm thinking about that $765,000 figure. I mean, that is literally a ticket to retirement right there, and it's just from one shadow IPO. It's incredible. How often does that happen?
Well, I have to say it happens all the time.
Really?
Because these IPOs normally raise billions of dollars in new capital, and that capital tends to fund incredible growth. So, for example, let's look at the IPO of Alibaba.
Oh yeah, the sort of the Amazon from China, right?
Right. It's the e-commerce giant of China. The company raised almost $22 billion on its IPO, a massive IPO. It was record-breaking at that time, and it created enormous global excitement and investor interest in Chinese e-commerce. Now, with that IPO, more and more people began to accept that e-commerce was the future, and of course, they felt more comfortable shopping online. And that benefited smaller, early-stage Chinese e-commerce companies like Pinduoduo. So take a look at this. With a $10,000 investment, you could have made a profit of almost $9,000 with Alibaba. That's good.
Yeah.
But with a much smaller e-commerce company, you could have made 12 times more, $107,700.
Again, yeah, that's a night and day difference. With the IPO, you make a nice profit, but with the shadow IPO, you make enough to maybe pay off your mortgage. I'm speaking from personal desires right there. But again, how is that possible? How do shadow IPOs become so much more profitable?
Well, because like I said earlier, they're much smaller, early stage companies. They're companies that still have years of exponential growth ahead of them. And the reality is, by the time some of these giants go public, just like what happened with Alibaba, they are already too big. So you're not going to make massive gains just buying their shares. But with these smaller companies, there is still a ton of upside potential because their best years are still ahead of them. For example, look at what happened with Facebook. So when Facebook went public, it was already a large company with a market cap of $104 billion. So that limited its upside potential. With a $10,000 investment, you could have pocketed a little over $30,000, which is not bad, right?
Absolutely, not bad at all. But I think I know where you're going. You're about to tell us that a shadow IPO was there that had much bigger gains.
You're catching on, Chris. Yes, it was a company called Shopify.
Oh, yeah.
So it's the leading platform that lets anyone, anywhere, easily build, run, and grow an online store. And after its IPO in 2012, Facebook, which has since changed its name to Meta, quickly became a highly effective advertising machine, especially for small and medium-sized businesses. So If you were a Shopify store owner, running ads on Facebook became the best and most cost-effective way to get new customers. So as Meta grew bigger and more sophisticated with its advertising tools, Shopify merchants could scale their businesses much faster.
So the better Meta performed, obviously, the more Shopify was going to grow. Their growth was essentially tied together.
Exactly. Facebook's IPO helped launch an entire modern social media advertising industry. The company used the proceeds from the IPO to build the most sophisticated, data-driven advertising platform the world has ever seen, and it changed the game because suddenly advertisers could target users with surgical precision based on interests, behavior, demographics, and Shopify was perfectly positioned to cash in on that new trend. And because it was a smaller company, you could have made much more money. So take a look. With the same initial investment, instead of pocketing $30,000, you could have pocketed a whopping $984,000. Chris, that's not just 2 times better than Facebook. That's not just 5 times better, not even 10 times better. We're talking about 30 times more money simply by buying the shadow IPO instead of the big tech company that's going public.
Yeah, wow. So with Facebook, you make a great profit. You just said it, $30,000 would be enough to remodel my wife's kitchen right now. That would be nice to make that kind of a profit. But with the shadow IPO, it is a total game changer. You make almost $1 million, enough to buy a new house. Forget about renovating. It's ridiculous.
I have to say, Chris, no, it's actually not ridiculous. This is exactly what happened. And this is what happens when you understand technology and its applications and which companies are best positioned to experience exponential growth. Like I mentioned earlier, these are some of the best examples. And of course, I can't guarantee results. Nobody can. But history shows that one of the best places to look for these kinds of opportunities is with these smaller tech companies that can ride the coattails of a big tech IPO. And that's exactly what I'm expecting from this SpaceX IPO.
Right. So this shadow IPO that you're going to recommend today is a smaller tech company that you believe is going to benefit from SpaceX's growth and IPO.
Exactly. And Chris, this IPO is such a juggernaut, and it will have so many implications for AI in the space economy that I was able to find not just one, not two, but a total of 3 explosive opportunities.
All right, so hold on. I don't think I realized that. You're going to recommend 3 different shadow IPOs today?
Yes, and one of them is the company behind this patent that you see on the screen. So this little-known company has developed a technology that I believe will be critical for space-based AI. This company is 1,000 times smaller than SpaceX. The second one that I'm recommending is a company that I call Elon Musk's Secret AI Accelerator, and I believe it will help Elon create the fastest, most efficient AI chips in the world. This company is 145 times smaller than SpaceX. And the third one is a tiny national security company that's working with SpaceX to secure America's space supremacy. And this company is also 145 times smaller than SpaceX.
So this is very interesting and very good news. All of these companies then are significantly smaller than SpaceX. They're all what we would call early stage companies, but with exponential growth potential.
Absolutely. But there's a caveat, Chris. Massive gains will only be possible if you act now. It has to be before the IPO. I mean, Chris, if you think there's a lot of hype right now, you haven't seen anything yet. IPO day for SpaceX will be wild. When SpaceX finally goes public, all of the hype could send these SpaceX shadow IPOs that I'm recommending higher than anyone can imagine. And it's why I urge everyone, get in today before the IPO.
Yeah, if the growth of these tiny companies is in fact tied to the growth of SpaceX, I mean, that's what you're telling us. I can see how their shares would obviously skyrocket on IPO day as well as SpaceX. Folks, we're going to get to all the details on this exciting development. All 3 of those opportunities we're going to come up and talk to you about over the next few minutes. Jeff is also going to give away the name and ticker symbol of that AI stock that's set to benefit from the IPO too. And of course, we're also going to have a Q&A at the end as well. Again, all coming up over the course of the next few minutes. But right now, Jeff, Let me do a quick reset. Let me recap just to make sure that we're all on the same page here. We all know SpaceX is, in fact, set to be the biggest IPO ever. We're only days away at this point. You have predicted it's going to raise more than $100 billion and do so at least a $2 trillion valuation. But that means it's already huge. It's a giant company. In fact, after the IPO, it's going to be one of the most valuable companies in history. And because of that, you believe the best way to cash in on SpaceX's growth is actually to invest in what you're calling its shadow IPO, or IPOs, plural at this point. These smaller companies that are going to quietly benefit in the shadow of SpaceX. Have I kind of set the table there the right way?
Yes, these smaller companies are the ones that will give you the chance to make 10 times, 20 times, and even 50 times more money than the IPO. And that's a pattern that has played out over and over and over again, including with another Musk company, Tesla. The company used the proceeds from its IPO to accelerate building out its manufacturing capacity, which set the stage of the development of self-driving technology later. So in 2020, when that technology began to scale, you could have invested $10,000 in Tesla and made a $7,400 profit, which, again, that's not bad. But there was a tiny semiconductor testing company called Aehr Test Systems that was working with Tesla suppliers behind the scenes. And Chris, look at what happened. While the shares of Tesla jumped 74%, shares of this much smaller supplier jumped 4,200%. Chris, that is 50 times more money.
It's just incredible. So we're looking at the dollar figures here. With Tesla, you make less than $10,000, considerably less than $10,000. With the tiny shadow IPO, you make $420,000.
And this happens with all sorts of different tech IPOs, which includes the fintech industry. So, for example, let's look at a company that I think everyone knows well, Visa, the credit card company. Yeah. With a $10,000 investment, you could have made a $20,000 profit. But there was a much better way of playing that IPO. Shortly after Visa's IPO, a much smaller company called Square invented something called the Square Reader. Now, it was a small white plastic credit card swiper. You just plugged it into your phone, and now anyone, small businesses, street vendors, freelancers, really anyone could easily accept credit card and debit card payments.
I remember seeing them everywhere at restaurants and even my barber shop. So this company basically built its entire business on the back or on top of Visa's network.
Exactly. But because it was a much smaller company, you could have made much more money, 14 times more to be precise. So instead of walking away with $20,000, you could have pocketed a whopping $300,000. Now, I have to ask again, which one sounds better to you?
It's amazing. I mean, how much more money you can make with these smaller plays.
Yes. I mean, this simple decision, do you buy shares of the big, massive tech company after the IPO?
Right.
Or do you buy shares of the shadow IPO? I mean, that simple decision could be the difference between nothing changing in your life or securing your financial future once and for all. So look at Google's IPO, for example. Starting with $10,000 with the IPO, you pocket a little over $60,000. Again, that is great. But do you know what's even better? $1 million. I mean, that's how much you could have made with a much smaller company, Baidu.
$1 million. Baidu. That's the Google of China.
Yes, it is. I mean, Baidu modeled its entire business based on Google. So after Google's IPO, Baidu copied many of Google's successful strategies, like a clean interface, relevant results, its advertising model, etc. And because it was much smaller, you could have made much more money. So take a look, Chris. With the IPO, you make enough to maybe buy a cheap used car, let's say. With the shadow IPO, you make 7 figures and your life is never the same again. Now, can you see now why I'm recommending these shadow IPOs today?
Oh, yeah, widescreen. You're making the picture very clear. So I know in just a moment you're going to be giving away the name and ticker symbol of the AI company that's set to benefit from SpaceX.
Yes, that's right.
But right now, what I want to get into, can we transition? Let's get into some of the details about these smaller companies that you're recommending today, the shadow IPOs. Can you tell us more about those top 3 picks there?
Well, sure. The first one is a little-known company that owns a proprietary technology protected by this patent that I showed earlier. And I believe this technology will be critical for space-based AI. Now, Chris, I already told you how Elon Musk is planning to power his AI satellites with free energy from the sun.
Right.
But he will not be the only one. For example, Google is working on something called Project Suncatcher, and they are planning to launch their first prototype to orbit next year. Now, there's a company called Axiom Space that already tested its hardware on the International Space Station. Jeff Bezos' rocket company, Blue Origin, also has something that it calls Project Sunrise, and they're planning to launch 50,000 AI satellites into orbit. And there's also an NVIDIA-backed startup called StarCloud, which has been getting a lot of attention recently. This past December, it launched a satellite packed with NVIDIA chips and successfully trained the first AI model in space.
Well, you did tell us that Elon, I mean, he's got some competition here. Clearly, I mean, there is, as you said earlier, an AI space race that's going on here.
Yes, he has competition, and of course, he will be the leader. But my point is, we're going to see a lot of these AI satellites going into orbit. Elon Musk is kicking off an entire space-based AI industry, and this company that I'm recommending is perfectly positioned to cash in on the growth of that new industry.
Right. So what exactly is this proprietary technology we're talking about?
Well, all of those AI satellites will require a lot of energy, as you can imagine, but you can't simply use any kind of regular solar panel for these satellites. And that's where this tiny company comes in. It has developed a game-changing proprietary solar technology specifically engineered for space. It's protected by this powerful patent that I showed you earlier. Now, Chris, I have to say, this isn't just another solar panel. It captures energy from the sun dramatically more efficiently than anything else available today. In fact, it's the most efficient solar technology ever proven to work in space. And that's precisely why NASA is already using this exact technology in its own Artemis program. This mission to return humans to the moon.
That's very cool. So this is not a plan on paper. I mean, the technology does exist and it's being used in the real world. It's proven.
Well, it is not theory. This isn't a prototype. This isn't some risky science project. This is a proven technology that NASA is already using to power critical systems on the Lunar Gateway Station. Things like life support systems, obviously computers, communications equipment, science equipment, and a whole lot more. And here's a picture of that technology being deployed on the International Space Station. Now, the United States Space Force, Boeing, and Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin are also using this company's tech. SpaceX has also already collaborated with this company in past space missions. And I believe as the new industry grows, more and more companies will rely on its technology for solar power. And that's why I call it the backbone of space-based AI. This tiny little known company owns what I believe is the single most valuable technology for generating power in space on the planet today. But most people, they don't know about it because it operates almost 3,000 miles away from Silicon Valley.
No kidding. So it really is not a well-known tech company then.
I'd bet most people watching this have never even heard of this company, but I believe its technology will help power a lot of these AI satellites with free energy from the sun. And I urge everyone to buy shares today. While this is still a tiny company, 1,000 times smaller than SpaceX.
Wow, 1,000 times smaller. I remember that you mentioned earlier 1,000 times smaller. I guess that's good news, right? Because you already showed us earlier how these smaller companies are much more explosive because they're small.
Absolutely. So you're not going to turn a tiny steak into an entire nest egg with a massive multi-trillion-dollar company. That's only possible with these small early-stage tech companies. So look at what happened with Facebook and Shopify, for example. Like I mentioned earlier, Facebook's IPO helped create a whole new economy of social media marketing. And as the company grew bigger and more sophisticated with its advertising tools, Shopify merchants were able to scale their businesses much faster. And because it was a much smaller company, it returned 30 times more money than Facebook.
Yeah, and you showed that early. It's still kind of shocking to me. With Facebook's IPO, you make $30,000. With Shopify, you make almost $1 million. But Shopify was ready to cash in on that new economy, and boy, did it pay off big time for its shareholders. So again, you are convinced that something similar could happen with SpaceX's IPO. It's going to kick off an entire new industry of call them AI satellites.
Precisely. So when SpaceX goes public, it won't just be the biggest IPO in history. It will ignite a full-blown boom across the entire space economy. Now, I've been predicting that the IPO will raise more than $100 billion, making it the largest IPO in history.
Right.
Elon Musk is going to use some of that money to accelerate the production of his new Starship rocket. The SpaceX Gigabay, which is the manufacturing facility to make Starships, will be ready for full production before the end of this year with the design capacity to produce, and I'm not exaggerating, 1,000 Starships a year, Chris.
That's absolutely amazing. We were standing in front of the Gigabay today, earlier, right? So when you say 1,000 new rockets in a year.
Yes, and I have to say, this isn't just any rocket. The Starship system is the biggest and most powerful rocket that has ever been developed. SpaceX has already conducted 6 successful test flights to space,
right,
with the Starship, and this rocket and spacecraft will have a massive ripple effect on the industry. Every time SpaceX lowers the cost of reaching orbit, it makes space dramatically more accessible and affordable to everyone else. So it will become a lot cheaper by an order of magnitude for all of these other companies to send their own AI satellites into orbit. And Chris, there is one thing they will all need: solar energy. Do you know what that means for this tiny company that I'm recommending? The one that I'm calling the backbone of space-based AI?
Well, demand for its solar energy technology has got to explode.
Exactly. It will explode. And I haven't even told you the full story. I mean, this company isn't just building better solar panels for space. They're developing an entire suite of breakthrough technologies that will power the next era of AI in orbit.
So what kind of technology is that?
Well, they're manufacturing a revolutionary new type of fiber optic cable. So we can think of this as the nervous system for all these AI satellites. They also built a high-performance antenna and data links that make instant communication possible, and they produce the advanced docking systems that connect spacecraft in orbit. So while SpaceX dominates the rockets, the launch business, this little-known company is rapidly becoming the indispensable backbone of space-based AI. And this is flying completely under the radar. I mean, Chris, remember when people thought Tesla was just a car company?
Yep. And you're smiling because you remember we've had so many conversations about this before. In early 2018, you did recommend Tesla to your readers, and you explained it was not just a car company. You told them, I know the mantra by now, it's an AI company because of its self-driving technology.
Exactly. People thought that I was crazy for recommending Tesla. I mean, they thought it was just a ridiculously overvalued car company. Some of my readers were even pretty upset with me, and they told me that they would never buy Tesla's stock and that it was going to zero. They were certain of it. But once people woke up to the fact that it was an AI company, guess what happened? Shares exploded higher.
Absolutely. Your readers had an incredible chance to make more than 20 times their money. Absolutely amazing.
Well, I'm reminding you of what happened with Tesla shares because we could see something similar here. So right now, Wall Street still sees this tiny company as a small, obscure kind of space manufacturing firm. But the moment the market wakes up and realizes this company is critical infrastructure for the entire space-based AI economy, I believe the shares are going to explode higher than anyone can imagine. So this is the kind of hidden opportunity that turns small positions into generational wealth.
Jeff, it's so exciting. Now, how can folks get started?
Well, I want to give everyone here today access to a special report with all the details on my first SpaceX Shadow IPO recommendation. And it's called The Backbone of Space-Based AI That Could 10x Your Money. Now, inside, you'll find the name, ticker symbol, and all of my analysis. Again, this is a tiny early-stage company that's trading close to $10. Now, our conservative base case is that it could triple your money over the next 12 months. In the longer run, it could be a 10-bagger. And I just want to emphasize that the key here is to get in now before the IPO. And that's scheduled for June 12th. Now, remember, Chris, as we speak, there is a SpaceX IPO roadshow going on right now. More than 100 analysts are meeting with SpaceX ahead of the IPO, and I have no doubt the topic of solar energy will come up.
Oh, sure.
I would not be surprised if Elon Musk or a member of his team mentions the name of this company in one of those meetings. So this isn't going to remain a secret for much longer, and that's why I'm making this report available to everyone here today.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm already sold, I think, with just this first company you mentioned. This is very exciting. I can't wait to get my hands on that report. And folks, we're going to show you how to claim it yourself in just a moment here. We also still have our Q&A that we can look forward to, that free pick that Jeff has promised us as well. But first, we still got, this is just one down. We've got two more shadow IPOs that Jeff wants to talk about with us today. What's the second one?
All right. Well, the second one is a small company that I believe will help Elon accelerate his plans to send AI satellites to orbit. And that's why I call it Elon Musk's Secret AI Accelerator. So you see, the AI satellites that Elon Musk is planning to build will be as much as 4 times larger than the satellites that he's been using for Starlink. And Chris, as you can see in this public notice, the Federal Communications Commission, or the FCC, has already accepted SpaceX's filing to launch up to, get this, 1 million of those AI data center satellites into orbit. 1 million. To put that into perspective, Starlink has about 10,000 satellites in orbit right now.
Wow. So this is going to be 100 times bigger than what we're already seeing.
Yes, this is going to be an absolutely giant constellation of huge AI data center satellites. It will dwarf the scale of the Starlink constellation of satellites, which is already the largest in history. And all these satellites will be packed with AI semiconductors, but not just any chips. Now, Chris, remember when I said earlier that Elon Musk is planning to use some of the money from the IPO to build his next generation chip called AI5?
Right. That's the chip he's going to use for the robotaxi network and the Optimus robots, right? I think you said it's going to be 40 times more powerful than anything he's using right now?
That is right. Well, in order to make that chip, I believe Elon Musk will have to license a key technology from a much smaller company, and that's the company that I'm recommending today.
That's the company you call Elon Musk's Secret AI Accelerator?
Correct.
Okay.
Now, Chris, as you know, for more than a decade, I was a senior executive for 2 giant semiconductor companies, Qualcomm and NXP Semiconductors. So I happen to know what goes on inside a semiconductor like the palm of my hand. And I can tell you this little known company makes a special type of memory technology that goes inside of semiconductors. So it's a technology that moves enormous amounts of data at lightning speed between the processor. We can think of that like the brain, and the memory, the storage. So you can think of it as an extremely fast and efficient highway for data. Without this technology, the processor would sit idle waiting for data, and that would kill performance and waste power. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, I got it.
Okay.
So you believe that if Elon wants to build the fastest, most powerful, and most energy efficient AI chips out there in the world, he's going to, did you say he's going to have to make a licensing deal with this particular company?
Yes, that's right. And Elon Musk doesn't reinvent the wheel when someone else already has a superior solution. He licenses it. For example, back in 2014, in the very early days of Tesla, Elon did not develop his own battery cells from scratch. Instead, he licensed Panasonic's advanced 18650 battery cell technology in order to accelerate the production of Tesla at scale. And I believe he's going to do the same thing here. Now, Chris, you know the saying, money loves speed? And nowhere is that truer than the AI industry. Elon understands that if he wants to win this AI race, he needs to move fast. And he said, and I quote, "Our fundamental competitiveness depends on being faster than any other AI company." So instead of spending years and billions of dollars developing some kind of new memory technology from absolute scratch, I believe he's going to license the best-in-class solution that already exists. Now, this would allow SpaceX to dramatically accelerate their AI chip development. It could save them years while giving them a decisive edge.
Well, no wonder you decided to call it Elon Musk's secret AI accelerator. I get it. It makes perfect sense.
Well, Chris, this company's technology is so good that many of the biggest players in the AI space are already customers. Now, I'm talking about companies like NVIDIA, AMD, Broadcom, Samsung, and even Micron.
They're all using this company's memory technology already?
They are. In fact, they can't operate without it. Now, most people don't know about this company because it's more than 400 times smaller than NVIDIA. But this isn't a risky startup. It's a very well-established business that's already serving the who's who in the AI industry.
And again, just to make sure here, as an early stage company, that means it has exponential growth ahead of it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, as I showed you earlier, Chris, after looking at some of the biggest tech IPOs in history, I found that these shadow IPOs, these early stage, smaller companies return 10 times, 30 times, and even 50 times more money than the IPO itself. So remember, you could have made more than $400,000 with Tesla's shadow IPO. That's 50 times more money than had you invested just in Tesla. When Google went public, you could have made $1 million from its shadow IPO. That's 16 times more money. And when Facebook went public, you could have made 30 times more money with its shadow IPO and walked away with more than $980,000. Those massive gains were only possible because those companies were much smaller than the big company that was going public. And that's exactly the situation that we have here with this tiny company that I call Elon Musk's secret AI accelerator. So the upside potential here is really explosive. And that's why I put all the details inside another report called Elon Musk's Secret AI Accelerator, How to Profit from His Brand New AI5 Chip. It has the name, the ticker symbol, and of course, all of my complete analysis.
Jeff, this is fantastic. And folks, we're going to show you exactly how you can claim both of those reports in just a few moments here. But first, we got one more. That's 2 down, 1 left here. Tell me, Jeff, what is the third shadow IPO that you're here to recommend today?
Okay, well, the third one is more of a national security play, a space-based national security play. You see, most people don't know this, but SpaceX is quickly becoming the single most important company for American military supremacy in the 21st century.
It's very interesting because we've discussed the rockets, the internet satellite, this new AI master plan, but I think it's the first time I've ever heard you connect to national security specifically.
Well, Chris, you have no idea. I mean, space has become a huge matter of national security. In fact, this was the whole purpose of establishing the U.S. Space Force. And by the end of this year, SpaceX is set to launch about 98% of all mass launched into Earth's orbit globally. It has single-handedly rebuilt America's launch capacity after decades of decline and dependence on Russian rockets. And thanks to its reusable rockets, well, SpaceX can launch satellites faster and cheaper than any nation or company on Earth. Now, this gives the U.S. military an overwhelming tempo advantage that China simply cannot match today.
Right. I guess what you're saying is that SpaceX's technology is kind of critical for the U.S. government.
Yes. I mean, the Pentagon doesn't view SpaceX as a supplier. It views it as a critical partner that it simply cannot function without. Our military is already using drones that are powered by SpaceX's Starlink satellites. And that's not to mention that U.S. forces and allies are already relying on Starlink for communications in active conflict zones. Now, on top of all that, SpaceX is also building the backbone of the Golden Dome. So have you heard about this project, Chris?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The missile defense system. It's well, Israel has the version of it, the Iron Dome, right?
It's modeled after that. That's right. and it will be America's next generation missile warning and tracking system. They'll have hundreds of military satellites designed to detect and defeat hypersonic and ballistic threats within seconds of launch.
Right. SpaceX is building that?
SpaceX is one of the main players, yes, but it's not the only one. And that brings me to the third SpaceX Shadow IPO that I want to recommend today. It's a much smaller company that's working with SpaceX on this Golden Dome project. You see, SpaceX is building the Eyes in the Sky. It's a program that's called Starshield program, and it's a powerful constellation of military satellites that will detect incoming missiles within seconds of launch anywhere on Earth. And this other company is building the nervous system on the ground. Now, that's the advanced command and control platform that turns the data from these satellites into real-time decisions and rapid response.
So while SpaceX is building the rockets and the satellites, this tiny company is building the critical ground systems that make the whole shield operational.
That's exactly right. And as SpaceX launches more and more of these defense satellites into orbit, the demand for these ground systems to manage, secure, and exploit that data will, of course, grow dramatically. That's why I believe the growth of this company is directly tied to the growth of SpaceX. But because it is a much smaller company, it has much more upside potential. So I put all the details inside another report called Securing America's Space Supremacy, the tiny national security company that's set to skyrocket.
Well, it's all very exciting, no doubt about that. And folks, that's 3 shadow IPOs with exponential upside potential. And Jeff, that's my favorite thing about these companies that you're recommending today, because it seems like they're all, in one way or another, going to be attached to the growth of SpaceX and the space economy as a whole. But because they are much smaller than SpaceX, they're going to give you a lot more bang for your buck, right? You can grow your wealth so much faster.
That's absolutely right, Chris. And remember, when Google went public, folks had a chance to make about $60,000 in profits. But with its shadow IPO, Baidu, you could have walked away with $1 million. Why such a big difference? Well, because Google was a giant that had already seen a lot of growth, while Baidu was much smaller and still had years of growth ahead of them. And while I can't promise everyone here tonight will become a millionaire, we do have the same situation here with these 3 SpaceX shadow IPOs that I'm recommending. They have much more upside potential than SpaceX itself.
It's very exciting and very interesting. And folks, these 3 reports have all the details. Inside, you'll find everything that you need to know to get positioned ahead of the IPO. So Jeff, once I get my hands on these reports, what should I buy? Are you saying that we should get into these 3 stocks immediately?
Well, Chris, after you review all my research, yes, I do recommend you buy them immediately because time is of the essence here. If you wait until after the IPO, it could be too late. We talked about this, but it is worth repeating. There is already a tremendous amount of hype around this IPO. I mean, with this Wall Street Roadshow, the hype will get amplified 1,000-fold. This isn't going to be a normal kind of hype, Chris. This is going to be nuclear. I mean, the greed is going to hit a fever pitch on IPO day. You're going to see grown investors foaming at the mouth, begging for shares at almost any price. It is going to happen.
So we're talking about extreme levels of, what do they call it, FOMO, fear of missing out?
I think FOMO will be so intense that people will be calling their brokers in the middle of the night. Friends who are Elon Musk fans will be texting each other in all caps, "Did you get in yet? Did you get in?" I mean, by the time the IPO finally hits, it won't be a calm, orderly event. It's going to feel like the gold rush of the century, and everyone will be terrified of being left behind. And, I have to say, rightfully so. I believe that all that hype will spill over into smaller companies that have ties to SpaceX and the space economy, which will send their shares much, much higher. And that's why it's critical to act now before June 12th.
Right. And I will say, I don't run in the same circles you do, and I am hearing people talk about it already on the street now. And folks, you heard what Jeff just said. It is extremely urgent. This IPO, think about this. It's only going to happen one time. Jeff mentioned this earlier. This could be your only chance here. So I don't think we want to waste any more time. We'd like to email these reports to you right now. And inside, you will find all the details on the 3 SpaceX shadow IPOs that Jeff is recommending today. And that includes, as you heard, the backbone of space-based AI. That's the tiny company that owns that proprietary solar technology that's going to power AI satellites and that could 10x your money. You'll also discover Elon Musk's secret AI accelerator. Now, that's the early stage company that owns the critical memory technology that goes inside the AI chip that Jeff was telling us about. He believes it's going to be critical for Musk's next generation of chips called the AI5. So those are the chips that are going to power satellites, the Optimus humanoid robots, and the Robotaxi network, all coming very, very soon. So very big deal there. You'll also find details on the little-known national security company that's working with SpaceX to secure America's space supremacy. Jeff has done all the work already, all of the research, but here's the thing. Because of the explosive upside potential of these stocks, those 3 reports are reserved for members of Jeff's only research service that focuses on small cap tech stocks, and that service is called Exponential Tech Investor. So today, Jeff is opening the doors and inviting you to step through and join him. And when you do, you are going to get immediate access to all 3 of those reports that you see on your screen right now. And Jeff, just to cover the bases here, for anybody out there watching who is unfamiliar with Exponential Tech Investor, why don't you take a minute and explain how that service works specifically?
Of course. So when people ask me about Exponential Tech Investor, I always like to show this graphic. It shows 2 different paths of growth. One is linear and one is exponential. So when you're looking for an average of 5 to 10% return in a 401k, for example, that's linear growth every year, small steps. You're growing a little bit every year, but it is very slow. And as you can see, the exponential gains are bigger and faster. And of course, that is my mission in Exponential Tech Investor. So instead of large, well-known companies, we're targeting early stage public companies that are normally very small, and we're getting in on the ground floor. And for that reason, they have the potential to return exponential gains. So, you know, Chris, humans are very good at predicting and adapting to linear changes. Small, incremental changes give us time to adapt slowly and naturally, but that is just not how technologies work.
Yeah.
Most technologies, they grow exponentially. I mean, just look at what's happening with AI right now. AI capabilities are doubling every 7 months. That's exponential growth. 3 years ago, AI could write a basic email. Today, it can write full software applications, invent new products, make novel discoveries in mathematics, physics, and life sciences. These things have already happened. They can outperform humans in all knowledge-based tasks. I mean, this isn't gradual progress. It's not incremental. This is the fastest technological leap in human history.
Yeah, it's kind of scary to think that 7 months from now, AI is going to be 100% more powerful than it is at this moment that we're talking.
And then it will double again and again and again. I mean, we've already entered the exponential growth of the curve. It is relentless right now. And even the so-called experts have been caught off guard. The entire world is about to change in ways that we can't even imagine.
So this is going to happen faster than most people realize.
So much faster. That's the thing about exponential growth. I mean, Chris, if you take, let's say, 30 linear steps here in the studio, you'll just move across the room, right? But if you take 30 exponential steps, double every time, this would be enough to take you 26 times around the planet. I mean, that's how extraordinary exponential growth is. And it's why most of us can't comprehend it. This AI revolution will happen so fast that most people will simply be left behind. And they just won't have the sense of urgency to take action. And they'll miss out on the most promising tech investments because they just won't see them coming. They'll keep telling themselves that all this stuff is just science fiction, or they'll be thinking that they have plenty of time, there's no rush, it's years away, or by the time they realize that it's not science fiction, it will be too late to make big gains. And that is exactly why I launched Exponential Tech Investor. I want to put my readers in a position to be ahead of all of these big exponential changes because, put simply, that's how you can grow your wealth exponentially.
It really is fantastic. It really sounds like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And folks, when you join Exponential Tech Investor today, you're going to gain immediate access to the 3 reports that Jeff has just talked about. But those 3 reports are just the beginning, because every month Jeff is going to share another early stage opportunity with you. And again, these are companies that are disrupting entire industries, the giants of tomorrow. You're also going to get the starting guide, which is called Exponential Tech Investor Owner's Manual. You're going to get access to the exclusive members-only website. And let me mention this too. You know, Jeff Brown, as we talked about, was a senior technology executive for 25 years. His real-life tech experience is unmatched in this industry. He has invested in hundreds of private deals as an angel investor. And as you can imagine, he's built quite a Rolodex in the tech space. He's not one of those analysts who sits at a desk and researches stuff online. That's never going to give you an edge, because that's what everybody else does. And it's one of the things that I like most about Jeff's work. He's always traveling to conferences and having in-person meetings with senior tech executives and CEOs out there, scientists and venture capitalists. He loves to get out in the field and really see everything with his own eyes. You saw we did earlier today out here at SpaceX's headquarters. So imagine having a guy like Jeff working for you and sending you his best tech ideas every single month. I can tell you that the Exponential Tech Investor Model Portfolio is on fire. And I'll give you some examples here. Last year, Jeff picked Astera Labs as a way to profit from the AI data center boom. And he wrote this: given that Astera is now integral to the AI infrastructure ecosystem and its explosive growth metrics, we don't expect this opportunity to last long. You could make 3 times your money on this investment. It is now up almost 300%. Jeff was spot on. A month later, he recommended another AI infrastructure company. This one was called Coherent. And he wrote there that Coherent is a critical enabler of the AI race. We stand to double or triple our money over the next 12 to 18 months. Well, in this case, Jeff was wrong, because his readers had a chance to not double, not triple, but actually to more than 4 times their money, quadruple. So he also picked Vertiv because of its liquid cooling technology for AI data centers. He wrote this: the increased heat generated by AI data centers is forcing developers to embrace liquid cooling and other next-gen technologies. That's why we believe Vertiv is in the initial stages of accelerating growth. And you can see for yourself what happened with shares there. It jumped almost 900%. Now, honest, I could spend all day on this subject here, because he also picked robotics company Symbotic before it jumped as high as 256%, AppLovin before it jumped as high as 1,100%, and Credo before it exploded as high as 889%, just to mention a few here. And in that last example alone, $10,000 would have turned into almost $100,000 in Credo from just one pick. So with results like that, even if we charge $10,000 for the service, it would be well worth it. But here's the good news for you. Jeff designed Exponential Tech Investor for everyday folks like you. And for that reason, it's not going to cost anywhere near $10,000. A 1-year membership retails for $5,000 on the website. But today, you're not even going to have to pay that. Jeff, I know that you are offering a huge discount today, right?
That's right. This SpaceX IPO is such an incredible opportunity that I don't want the price to be an issue. But before we reveal the details, I almost forgot to mention something. I actually have another explosive opportunity that I'd like to share with everyone today. Now, like I mentioned earlier, I believe this SpaceX IPO will greatly accelerate Elon Musk's AI master plan. And that means AI applications like self-driving cars, intelligent general-purpose humanoid robots, and AI agents will go mainstream much faster than most people think. And that's why I want to give everyone who joins me today access to another report called the Fab 5 next-gen AI stocks that could make you 1,000%. And inside, I'll tell you about an NVIDIA partner that's at the center of the AI data center boom. It's a true innovator with more than 2,700 patents issued, and it already has contracts with 70% of the Fortune 500 companies. I'll also tell you about what I believe will be the next hot thing in AI. The CEO of NVIDIA recently said that the ChatGPT moment for robotics is coming, and it will bring about the next industrial revolution. And I believe he's right. And I found a robotics company that I predict will play a key role in the manufacturing renaissance in America. I'll also tell you about a huge opportunity in the intersection of biotech and AI. Michael Levitt, a Nobel Prize winner in chemistry, said, "We are on the cusp of a new era of AI-powered drug discovery," and I found an early-stage company that's using some forms of AI to simulate how our bodies would react to potential new drugs, helping accelerate the drug discovery process. And more than 6,500 scientists, including 5 of the top 10 pharmaceutical companies, are already using this company's AI. Now, you'll find all the details on these stocks and more inside this report, the Fab 5 next-gen AI stocks that could make you 1,000%. And I'm also making this report available to everyone who joins Exponential Tech Investor today.
So more fantastic news. Jeff has just sweetened the deal even more. So let me give you the details here, and you can see everything you'll get on your screen right now. That includes the special report with your first SpaceX Shadow IPO, the backbone of space-based AI that could 10x your money. Bonus report number 2 has details on the second Shadow IPO he's recommending. That one is called Elon Musk's Secret AI Accelerator, how to profit from his brand new AI 5 chip. And bonus report number 3 will tell you everything you need to know about the third Shadow IPO he's recommending. That one is called Securing America's Space Supremacy, the tiny national security company that's set to skyrocket. And bonus report number 4, as you just heard, the Fab 5 next-gen AI stocks that could make you 1,000%. And again, I'll just remind you, you'll also get a new idea every month that could grow exponentially, plus that owner's manual and all the ongoing alerts. And instead of paying the retail price of $5,000, everything you see on your screen can be yours today for just $2,250. There should be a button that you see on your screen right now that says Join Now. You click on that button and you can get started because it's only available for a very limited time. Remember, just over the past year, members of Exponential Tech Investor have already had a chance to turn $10,000 into $51,000 in Coherent, more than $120,000 in AppLovin, and almost $100,000 in Credo. Those are real results straight from the track record. And I'm sure you know what that means. It means a single Exponential Tech pick from Jeff could easily more than pay for your annual membership fee. So go ahead and click on that button. And when you do, it'll open a separate window where you can see all the details of the offer one last time before you join. And also keep this in mind. You're going to be protected by Jeff's 90-day satisfaction guarantee. If you're not 100% happy, contact us within the first 90 days and you'll get a full credit of your membership fee, good for any other product that we publish. And you can keep everything that you're getting today, of course, including your 3 special reports with all the SpaceX Shadow IPOs that Jeff is recommending today. And when you click on that button, you'll be able to keep watching the broadcast so you don't miss a thing that's going on here in our studio. We are, by the way, about to get started with our Q&A. And of course, Jeff, you're still going to keep your promise, I know, and give away the name of an AI company that you believe is set to benefit from the SpaceX IPO as well.
Well, of course. I mean, with the SpaceX IPO, Elon will raise billions of dollars and he will spend that money to execute on his AI master plan. And I believe this company will be on the receiving end of some of that money. And I'll give away the name in just a moment because it's one of my favorite AI stocks right now. But Chris, it's important that everyone understands that I believe the SpaceX Shadow IPOs that I'm recommending today have far more potential because they are much smaller.
Right, and that is an important distinction, so thanks for underlining that for us. I understand you have to save the ones with the biggest upside potential for your paying members, and I get that. It wouldn't be fair to them to give them away here. So, folks, don't delay. You can get on the inside, click on that button, and get started because this SpaceX IPO is happening, but it's only happening one time. It is critical to get in right now before all of this hype, which is going to go nuclear, as Jeff told us earlier, before all this hype begins to send shares of these 3 companies to the moon. And remember, like Jeff showed us today too, in previous tech IPOs, had you invested in the right Shadow IPO, you could have turned $10,000 into $420,000 in Tesla's Shadow IPO, $765,000 in Netflix's Shadow IPO, and more than $1 million in Google's shadow IPO. It's an incredible opportunity that we will likely never see again. I mean, just think about it. When's the next time that Elon Musk may take a company public? It's possible it may never happen again, not in our lifetimes. So do not wait. Click on the button, get started, because we couldn't have asked for a better tech analyst to be your guide during this historic IPO than Jeff Brown. And I say that because the proof is in the pudding. Thanks to Jeff's amazing results, we'll show you this. He's received some number of emails from his happy readers, like this one from Mara T. She wrote in and said, Jeff, I want to express my and my family's deepest gratitude for your work and for your always so accurate guidance. We're up on almost every single recommendation, and for most of them, the gains have been incredible. Thank you, Jeff, for all that you do to help people like me have a chance to better their lives. There's another one from Tim H. who wrote in and said, Jeff, I've been investing and working in the technology industry since 1985. I subscribe to your Exponential Tech investment letter because your insight and experience is easily the best I have ever read. Thank you. And Jim P. says, I've invested in several research services, but Jeff's is exponentially better than the rest, light years ahead. It's not too late to join his service, and I recommend everybody do so. I've stopped wasting my money on others. And I have personally no doubt that Jeff is going to continue to deliver market-beating gains to his readers. So click on the button right now and you can get started. And you'll gain immediate access to all those special reports that you see on your screen right now. Okay, we're about to get started with our Q&A here, and Jeff is going to give away that free pick that he promised. Before we do that, I want to remind everyone that all investments carry risk. Past performance is not a guarantee of future success. Exponential Tech Investor focuses on smaller companies that could be volatile, so please don't invest more than you're willing to lose. Okay, I'm going to ask production. Oh, Natasha's here right now. Thank you very much. Got the iPad. It's time to get into our Q&A. If you're ready.
Of
Jeff.
course, yes. Let's do it.
You have a chance to catch his breath, so here we go. First question. This is something I think a lot of people are probably thinking about right now. So here we go. Jeff, this AI in space thing sounds like science fiction. I've read some articles saying that space-based AI is a pipe dream. Are you really sure that Elon can pull this off?
Well, I'm not surprised the clueless mainstream media is saying things like that. I mean, they've been mocking Elon his entire career.
Yep.
But no matter how crazy his ideas have sounded, he has been able to execute over and over again. Every time his haters call one of his ideas impossible or crazy or delusional, Elon finds a way to make it real. Now, he did it with PayPal when he co-founded the first mainstream digital payment system at a time when most people didn't even have internet access. He did it with Tesla when he was an outsider with zero automotive industry experience. He took on Detroit's giants, and he didn't just compete with them, he absolutely crushed them. Today, Tesla is worth more than the next 9 largest traditional automakers combined. Now, he's doing it with Neuralink, where he's turning the crazy idea of a brain-computer interface into reality and helping paralyzed people control computers just with their thoughts. And he's done it with SpaceX. I mean, he's launching reusable rockets into orbit, something that NASA was never able to figure out. And when those 20-story tall boosters come back to Earth, he's literally catching them with mechanical arms. I mean, these were all bold, borderline insane visions, and yet time after time, Elon has turned them into world-changing companies. And I have to say that SpaceX has already proven the technology. The Starship has already been launched into space 6 times successfully, and SpaceX has already successfully built out the largest satellite constellation in history, that being Starlink. Now, the technology is already proven. All SpaceX needs to do is execute, and that's one thing that Elon Musk and his teams are great at doing.
And they're doing it. You're absolutely right. What he's been able to accomplish is mind-blowing. There's a reason why he's on the path to becoming the world's first trillionaire.
That's right, Chris. I mean, I'm actually predicting that Musk will become a trillionaire this year, immediately after the SpaceX IPO. The widespread release of autonomous driving software and third-generation Optimus robots at Tesla. Love him or hate him, Elon has proven over and over again that he operates on a completely different level. I mean, that's why Peter Thiel, one of the greatest venture capitalists alive, once said, you should never bet against Elon Musk. So the question isn't whether his space-based AI plan is too crazy. The real question is, are you willing to bet against the man who keeps achieving the impossible and proving everyone wrong?
That's a very good question. It puts it very, very clearly. If there's one thing everyone should have learned by now, it's this: doubting Elon Musk is a losing proposition.
It makes absolutely no sense to doubt Elon at this point. I mean, just look at what happened with Tesla. Back in 2018, Tesla's board approved a $56 billion pay package for Elon that was tied to 12 milestones. For example, he would only get paid if he took Tesla from around a $50 billion market cap to a $650 billion market cap. Now, Wall Street called it impossible. The press, they mocked it. Experts called it absurd. But Elon Musk hit every single one of those 12 milestones, and now he's doing it again with SpaceX. So SpaceX's board has just approved an unprecedented compensation package for Elon Musk ahead of the largest IPO in history. He's going to get 200 million shares if SpaceX hits a $7.5 trillion valuation and establishes a permanent Mars colony of at least 1 million people. He's going to get 60 million more shares if SpaceX hits further valuation targets and operates space-based data centers delivering 100 terawatts of compute. Chris, 100 terawatts is about 30 times the total electricity generated on Earth today across every grid, every country, every use.
These are insane goals that you've just listed, but I have no doubt. I mean, for most people, those would be impossible goals.
Elon is probably the only person on the planet that can achieve them. I mean, Chris, do you know how much he will get paid if those targets are not met? A big fat zero. He gets no shares. I mean, that means the vast majority of his compensation is contingent on putting 1 million human beings on Mars and generating 30 times more electricity than the entire world.
Well, if he's building 1,000 starships, why wouldn't he be able to send hundreds of them to Mars and do that? But it's absolutely insane, you know?
Virtually nobody thinks he's going to meet these targets. But again, I would not bet against Elon. Now, nobody believed he would meet the Tesla targets, but against all odds, he did.
Now, Jeff, if he meets those targets again, anyone who's investing in SpaceX obviously is going to make a lot of money. But with that kind of success, I mean, that kind of growth, I just can't imagine how much more money people will make with these smaller stocks that you're recommending today, the IPO, the shadow IPO stocks.
Well, Chris, that's why I'm here today and I'm pounding the table. Buying these shadow IPOs that have ties to SpaceX for the space economy could be like rewinding the clock back to Tesla in 2018. So remember, that's when the board set those lofty goals. And that was the same year that I recommended Tesla to my readers. Like we discussed earlier, people thought I was crazy for recommending Tesla. They thought it was just a ridiculously overvalued car company. But those who listened to me had the chance to make more than 20 times their money.
Folks, he's right. This is truly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. SpaceX is only going to go public one time. This is your chance. Do not miss it. Click on the button, get started. And in the coming days, when all the hype around the SpaceX IPO takes over Wall Street, and it's going to happen, you could be watching shares of these companies explode higher than anybody could possibly imagine. All right, let's keep moving here. We don't have a lot of time left. Jeff, you mentioned earlier that Elon is planning to build Terafab, right? That's he's going to make his own AI chips there. How long is it going to take before that's operational?
Well, he just broke ground on this massive semiconductor manufacturing plant located at the Giga Texas campus in Austin. Now, again, this is a very ambitious joint venture between Tesla, SpaceX, and xAI, which is now part of SpaceX. And the goal is to consolidate the entire chip-making process under one roof. Now, I believe he's going to get it done faster, far faster than most people think. I mean, he's already has a hearing in Texas this month. And with the IPO, Musk will have the capital and the team to make this a reality. Chris, we talked about his Colossus supercomputer before, right?
Right, the one in Memphis that you visited.
Yes, it is the world's most powerful AI supercomputer. It's a huge facility the size of 13 football fields. I have seen it with my own eyes. Even the CEO of NVIDIA said that it would typically take 3 years to build a big data center from scratch. But get this, from start to finish, Elon did it in just 122 days.
I've heard about it. It's incredible. It's not surprising, but it is incredible. We talked about Musk, or how he values the speed of execution. I mean, that is his MO. He moves so fast.
Exactly. And now Terafab will be far, far larger than Colossus. Colossus is the biggest AI training cluster today, but Terafab will be an entire industrial city dedicated just to AI semiconductor production. It will make Colossus look like a neighborhood lemonade stand, for example. I mean, Chris, Terafab will be able to produce 10 times more semiconductors than Taiwan Semiconductor, which is the largest chip manufacturer in the world. So it's going to take some time for Elon to reach full capacity, but he's going to start initial production this year. And with all the money that he's raising from the SpaceX IPO, I believe he'll greatly ramp up production in 2027 and be fully operational. And I believe he will reach full-scale production by the end of 2028. That's when he'll be producing as many as 200 billion chips per year. And by then, I have to say, Chris, the world will be unrecognizable. We'll have robotaxis and cybercabs driving autonomously everywhere, and we'll begin to see thousands of Optimus robots walking among us in our day-to-day lives, all powered by Elon's AI data center satellites.
We really are living in the most incredible time, that's for sure. And we're so lucky that we have an opportunity to invest in these world-changing technology before they grow exponentially. And folks, you can put Jeff to work for you. He will guide you every step of the way, showing you all the early stage companies that are set to benefit from this revolution that we're living through right now. If you're already a member of the Near Future Report, you need to understand that Exponential Tech Investor is a completely different research service. Jeff touched on this a little bit earlier too. In the Near Future Report, Jeff only recommends large companies. If you are looking, however, for these smaller early stage companies that have much more upside potential, then I highly recommend you click on the button and join Jeff's Exponential Tech Investor. All right, Jeff, another question here. We've heard some talk of an AI bubble in the media. We want to know what you think about that. Are we in a bubble?
Well, I can see why some people believe it's a bubble. I mean, they look at NVIDIA and it has jumped more than 28,000% since I first recommended it. I mean, these gains are mind-blowing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be a bubble, right? No, I mean, it's absolutely wrong. Just look at the growth numbers NVIDIA is reporting. In the last earnings report, it announced sales of almost $68 billion. That is a mind-blowing 73% increase year over year. These are extraordinary growth numbers for a company the size of NVIDIA. NVIDIA is now a $5 trillion company and the most valuable company in the world. And yet, despite its size, it continues to demonstrate the kind of growth numbers that we would typically only see in a much smaller company. Now, my point is, the demand for AI technology hasn't slowed down one bit. It increases every quarter, which is what I've been predicting for years now. That's how powerful this AI trend is. The industry is in a frantic race to achieve artificial general intelligence, and it won't be just one company. After that, the world will race to employ AGI across their governments and businesses, and in parallel, the industry will be working towards its ultimate goal, which is artificial superintelligence, which I have long predicted will happen before the end of 2030, a prediction that I am more confident than ever will be proven true. So while shares of NVIDIA are not dirt cheap, it is not overly expensive either. That's why I do not believe we are in a bubble. Investment levels continue to increase to fund real businesses that generate profit using AI. Yes, we'll have short-term corrections from time to time, and certainly a lot of volatility. That's perfectly normal, but this is nothing like the dot-com bubble when companies with zero sales were skyrocketing higher. I mean, AI companies are generating billions in sales, and the growth rates show no signs of slowing down.
Right. So the bottom line is that NVIDIA is going higher because it's showing incredible growth. It's priced fairly.
Exactly. But, remember, NVIDIA has already jumped 28,000% since I first recommended it. It's a giant $5 trillion company. NVIDIA is already too big to deliver the kinds of gains that we've seen from shadow IPOs in the past. And that's why I'm recommending that everyone get access to these 3 reports today with my top 3 SpaceX shadow IPOs. Chris, they have much more upside potential than NVIDIA and, of course, much more upside potential than SpaceX itself.
Right. So, folks, you heard what Jeff just said. If you missed out on those massive gains from the AI boom, this could be your second and perhaps last chance. So click on that button and get started, because this offer is actually only available for a very limited time. All right, let's move on to another question here, Jeff. AI stocks have been in a bull market for a while now. How much longer do you think the boom will last?
Oh, that's a good one. I believe that we have 3 to 4 more years of absolutely incredible growth before there is even a chance that growth slows down, Chris. I mean, this aligns directly with my own prediction that we'll see artificial superintelligence around 2030. Folks, this is your chance to build generational wealth in the coming months and years. This bull market won't last forever. Now is the time. Please don't miss out on this opportunity. I believe with all these reports that I put together for you, you'll have all the information that you need to cash in on this SpaceX IPO and this ongoing AI boom.
Right. We're going to keep going here because we don't have a lot of time left. Another very interesting question. Jeff, it looks like your readers are already having a lot of success in Exponential Tech Investor. How do you manage risk?
Well, that's a fantastic question because we take that very seriously. We start managing risk from the moment that we recommend a stock. So before we recommend any new play, we go over all the financials of the company to make sure that it's solid and that it's trading at a reasonable valuation. But picking the right stocks is just part of our risk management. We also use volatility-adjusted trailing stops. And in case you don't know, a stop loss is essentially an order to sell the stock if it falls by a certain amount. And a trailing stop loss moves up along with the stock as it goes higher. So you lock in gains along the way. That helps protect our readers from suffering a catastrophic loss in case of something like a major market crash. And when you become a member of Exponential Tech Investor, you'll actually get access to a training video that shows you exactly how I recommend you manage risk. But again, just to be clear, I don't expect this AI boom to end anytime soon, especially now that Elon Musk is set to change the entire industry with his AI data center satellites.
Boy, isn't that the truth? Fantastic. And folks, you heard what he said. Generational wealth is at stake here. So click on the button, get started, because we are running out of time, and we've got time actually for one more question. And this is, I'm actually going to reserve this for myself, make it a personal question. When did you actually, I hate to use the word, but when did you give up on wanting to be an astronaut?
Well, back in 2003, we had a disaster that affected the entire space industry. The space shuttle Columbia broke apart during re-entry, killing all the astronauts on board. And that tragedy essentially marked the end of NASA's space shuttle program. Now, around me, the entire aerospace industry collapsed. I mean, space, civilian, defense. I was faced with the fact that the career that I had planned vanished virtually overnight. So I had to pivot my career. That's when I moved to Tokyo, Japan, learned the language, and dove into the emerging high-tech scene in Asia. And after a few years, I was promoted to managing director for General Instrument, an electronics component manufacturer and leader in broadband communication systems. And I spent most of the next 3 decades working closely with each new generation of semiconductors. But I have to say, Chris, I have never given up. Now, to be realistic, I know I won't be a NASA astronaut, but I will become an astronaut in the future. It will just be on a commercial space flight.
Well, I don't want to be insensitive, but selfishly, honestly, there's a part of me that is glad that you followed this career path, that it turned out this way, because otherwise you wouldn't be here to guide us through this historic IPO and everything that's happening. All right, we're about to wrap things up here, but before you give away that pick you promised, we may not have covered everything that you wanted to say. Any last words you want to share with everybody out there?
Well, sure. I mean, Chris, you just mentioned this a few minutes ago. I just want everyone to understand how lucky we all are. We are living through the most exciting time in history for tech investing. I have never been more excited. We're seeing major advancements in space exploration, in biotechnology, blockchain technology, robotics, genetic editing, AI, quantum computing, and this SpaceX IPO is going to supercharge everything. So far, energy has been the biggest bottleneck to accelerating AI computing power. With AI data center satellites powered by free energy from the sun, limitless free energy, Elon will remove that bottleneck completely. This is going to be a game changer like no other. This single IPO will help unlock the full power of AI, and that's a big reason there is so much hype around it. It will change everything and transform every single industry on the planet. If you know where to look in the coming months and years, there will be endless opportunities to build generational wealth like we've never seen before. And my goal with Exponential Tech Investor is to guide you every step of the way, showing you tiny companies that I believe will become the giants of tomorrow. And you can get started today with my top small cap stocks that are perfectly positioned to cash in on the SpaceX IPO and its growth. Now, I'll remind you once again that buying shares of SpaceX after it goes public is not the best way to play this trend. Yes, you could make some money, but SpaceX is already too big. Like I showed you here today, these smaller companies I call shadow IPOs are the way to go. In every single case that I checked, these shadow IPOs return 10 times, 20 times, 30 times, and even 50 times more money than the large IPO itself. I showed you examples in Palo Alto Networks, with Google, with Facebook, and even Tesla, a Musk company. In all those cases, you could have walked away with a huge six-figure payout and even over $1 million in one case. Now, I believe that same pattern will play out with SpaceX and these smaller companies that I'm recommending. But if you want a chance to make those massive gains, you cannot wait until after this IPO. You must get in now. Now remember, SpaceX is currently meeting with more than 100 analysts during this IPO roadshow. Once those analysts start revealing what they learned in those closed-door meetings, I predict we're going to see a level of hype that we've never seen before. I believe all that hype will help push these companies that I'm recommending today into the stratosphere, and they'll take off as fast as one of Elon Musk's rockets. And if you blink, you simply will be left out. So, click the button to get started. I'm looking forward to welcoming you to Exponential Tech Investor. And Chris, before we wrap things up, I'm going to keep my promise and give away the name of an AI company that I believe will benefit from this IPO.
Please.
Now, it's called Lam Research, and the ticker is LRCX, Lam Research. And this is a company that's perfectly positioned to cash in on the Terafab plan. So remember, Terafab is where Tesla will make its fifth generation AI chip known as AI5. And as you can imagine, Chris, in order to make these tiny high-performance AI chips, you need extremely sophisticated machines and tools, and that's where Lam Research comes in. Now, I believe it will provide Elon with those machines. Lam is one of the top 3 global leaders in semiconductor equipment makers, and that's why Elon's team has already approached the company to potentially become a major supplier.
Oh, wow. So they're already in talks with Elon.
They are, which is why I'm recommending it. And Chris, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that when Elon decides to build the biggest AI chip factory on Earth, the companies that make the actual machines that build the chips will be among the clearest winners.
That sounds like a no-brainer. Do not bet against him.
Well, like I mentioned earlier, I believe Elon will raise $100 billion from the IPO, and I believe he's going to spend at least $55 billion building the Terafab. And as Terafab ramps from pilot production into full-scale, high-volume manufacturing, I believe Lam will capture a very significant portion of the equipment orders. Now, I do have to make something very clear. Lam Research has a market cap of over $300 billion. It is already a large company. It's not the type of early stage company that I typically recommend in Exponential Tech Investor. So while I do believe Lam Research has good upside potential, it does not have the potential to make the kind of generational wealth that we've been discussing here today. Only the smaller companies that I'm recommending in the special reports have that kind of potential. So I highly recommend everyone claim those reports today.
That makes perfect sense. And folks, you heard what Jeff said. His free pick is Lam Research. Ticker symbol is LRCX. But as Jeff just explained, the top 3 small caps that Jeff is recommending today have much more upside potential. So Make sure you click on that button and join Exponential Tech Investor. And once again, here is everything that you get when you join Jeff today. You get the special report with your first SpaceX Shadow IPO, the backbone of SpaceX-based AI that could 10x your money. Bonus report number 2, Elon Musk's secret AI accelerator, how to profit from his brand new AI5 chip. Bonus report number 3, securing America's space supremacy, the tiny national security company that's set to skyrocket. The bonus report number 4, the Fab 5 next-gen AI stocks that can make you 1,000%, a new idea every month, plus the owner's manual and all the ongoing alerts. All of that for one of the lowest prices that we will likely ever offer. And Jeff, in the few seconds we got left here, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for bringing me down here to Starbase, Texas. I think we all learned a lot about this amazing SpaceX IPO and the operations here and the implications going forward for the entire AI industry.
Well, Chris, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you along with me on this journey. And as you can tell, I'm so excited to share all the excitement about what's happening right here at Starbase, Texas. And thanks to everyone who turned in. I sincerely appreciate your time. And remember, we have so much to look forward to.
I'm Chris Hurt for Jeff Brown. Good night from Starbase, Texas. So long.